What is going on, guys, and welcome to F1 2017 career mode. Finally starting the career mode. I've had the game since Sunday and I am loving this game. As you saw before, we played online and it was amazing with the first corner incident. Came back and came second in the race, which was awesome. But here we are going to start the career mode in the McLaren Honda with Fernando Alonso as our teammate.
Yes, and I respect that. But my client has a championship to contest. So if you want our participation, I'm afraid the concessions are mandatory. Yes, that's fine. Get back to me when you can. Goodbye. No one ever just signs the contract. Anyway, thanks for coming by on such short notice. I just needed to cover a couple of quick things with you before you race. Firstly, as requested, there's a copy of your contract. It's a rolling deal. However, the team reserves right of termination if you fail to meet performance standards. You're second driver for now, but work hard, hit your targets, and I'll be able to sweeten the deal. I'm also looking to get you into some invitational events throughout the season. The experience and exposure from these will be great for your image. Plus, you'll get to drive some nice historic cars. Now then, go get ready for the next session, and good luck.
Welcome to Melbourne, where the practice session is about to start for this weekend's Australian Grand Prix. The pre-race talking is over. Now it's time for the drivers to show their worth.
So jumping straight into practice now. I just wanted to get used to the car because we are going to be at a disadvantage with the car, and while we're in practice, and we're going to have a little replay of this incident with Hulkenberg, I believe that was pretty much keeping us out on the outside of the track. So from this season, I'm not expecting to win a championship. Pretty much the McLaren Honda will not win a championship with its current state. I'm not expecting to get podiums straight away. So basically what I'm hoping for is to get consecutive places in the top 10 and pretty much be persistent. Persistent in finishing races, but that's going to be a bit hard when the engine can blow at any time. But as you can see, we're just doing some more of the R&D stuff, getting used to the track, used to the car, and getting as much R&D points as possible to upgrade this engine. So as you can see, I'm just showing the engine mileage, and we're at 10% already for the MG UK, which isn't that great. We're going to go straight into the engineering briefing.
Ah, you got my message. Perfect. Welcome to home away from home. We get more real-time data from the factory now than ever before, and it all comes through here. So I have to spend more time checking over the reports and less time hunting you down in the hospitality suite. To that end, Sorry, just a sec. Yeah, Chris, is this important? I'm in the middle of something. Oh, okay. Right. Well, that makes no sense. Have Sarah reset the simulation and run it again. Okay. Sorry about that. As I was saying, we've set up a desk for you at the front here. You can get onto the network from your laptop, so make sure to check the R&D screen regularly. And let us know how you want to use the data that we've collected over the weekend and through the practice programs. Also, bear in mind that the news from the factory won't always be good. Sometimes tests fail, like you've seen just now. And when that happens, we have to divert additional resources to fix it. C'est la vie, I'm afraid.
train, reliability.
Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly. I want to talk briefly about the strategy in these qualifying sessions. Anthony Davidson, how can a driver adjust their approach to gain those critical extra tenths of a second?
So here we are for the qualifying in Q1 at the Australian Grand Prix. So home race for us, and we're going to hopefully get a decent result, hopefully make it into Q2, but this is going to be our first flying lap as we come around the final corner. Sorry that this video is going very fast. This video is going to be very long, simply because everything happens. You got to set up everything, and everything happens in terms of getting to know the game in the first episode. But there we go, we set a 1:28.1, not exactly a great time, with Hamilton now setting a 1:23.4, so we're well off the pace. Coming around the second last corner, coming up to the final corner now, where anything can happen. You can actually lose the rear quite easily, but we're coming up to be about 6/10 up on our previous time, and we're going to cross the line with a 1:27.5. And at this stage I thought it was decent. P10, I don't think I could get much else out of the car. I was pretty much hammering the car in all the corners. So we're going to come across into the pits, and just a reminder that this game now has manual pit limiters and pit stops as such. So we have to set the pit limiter, get down to the speed, and come into the pits. So as I was saying, this season I'm not expecting anything fantastic from the car. I just want to get the car as reliable as possible for season 2, and hopefully good enough for the rest of the season. But as you see, I decided to retire from Q1, and unfortunately that made us not make it through, and we were well off the pace. We were 2 seconds off the pace to get into Q2.
Today's race, of course, not simply the start of a new season, but the start of a new kind of Formula One. Anthony Davidson, great to have you with us once again. This is a big moment for the sport. Big changes to the technical regulations. The potential, perhaps, to give us the biggest shake-up since 2014. Very different cars visually, and, fingers crossed, much faster as well.
Good thing then that combined these teams put in just a shade over 13,000 kilometres on the clock during testing. The cornering speed of these new machines is absolutely unbelievable. How many lap records are still held by Michael Schumacher from 2004? Well, on the right day, on the right tyres, we might just be threatening them this year. Wider tyres, wider cars, more downforce. I have to say they look great, and the qualifying spectacle is undebatable. Now the big question remains, can they follow? Can they race? Or have these new rules gone too far?
With that then, let's run through the grid order. Kimi Räikkönen starts today from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Bottas, Max Verstappen and Ricciardo, Stroll, Massa, Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez, Grosjean, Magnussen, Daniel Kvyat and Sainz, Ocon, Alonso, Jolyon Palmer and Marcus Ericsson, Wehrlein and a McLaren rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So here we are for the race. In terms of race strategy, we will be doing a 1-stop. I don't feel the need to do a 2-stop around this circuit, and with this car setup it's not likely that we're going to wear the tyres out that well and that fast. So we're going to skip formation lap as always, and we're going to go straight into the race. So here we are for the race. We have 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Lights out, and away we go for the first ever F1 2017 career mode on this channel. And Alonso getting off to a pretty bad start. Wehrlein is still down there on our side. We're going to jump down, and we already have yellow flags, and that is Bottas out on the side of the track. I'm not sure what happened to him, but we're going to get a replay very shortly, as we took 17th, but here we go for the replay. Bottas and I believe that is Vettel made contact. So first corner, we already have our first turn incident. So here's on-board replay. As you can see, Bottas's left front wheel just slightly touches Vettel's rear, and that is it. Bottas is going to start the race pretty much in last place. Coming back on board, Alonso is behind us. We have Ericsson in front of us. So off to a decent start. We came from 20th to 17th, but we still need to make a lot more progress in this race. As you can see, we are sort of going out wide, we're not making it the best turns possible. Alonso is starting to pick up his pace, and now he's sitting on the rear of us, and I believe that is another car, most likely Bottas or Verline, who's right behind Alonso. And now we're starting to make a gap between us and Alonso, but we're also starting to have a gap between us and Ericsson as we come through the flying chicane. And this track with this car now, the 2017 regulations make it much faster, and all the corners feel a lot better, a lot more grip compared to the old game, and it just feels a lot more natural to take the cars faster through the corners as well. So coming up to the end of lap 1 now, and Ericsson is sort of slowing down because of the cars in front of him, but Kimi Raikkonen sets the fastest lap, and that is pretty much to be expected for the pole position driver. So across the line we set a 141 on our first lap. So now skipping to lap 4, we have Ericsson and Verline behind us. Something happened to Alonso, he must have been overtaken by Verline somewhere, but Ericsson is sort of there, we're still keeping up with him. Ericsson's losing the cars in front, and there's a huge train. If you can look at the little mini-map, there's a huge train, and there's a collision between Ericsson and Bottas. I don't know what happened to Bottas, he just slowed down and he's managed to be lapped, and we get past Ericsson cleanly. But he's going to be a replay of the incident. Bottas just stops. And the reason was, I inspected it further on, and Bottas actually, his left rear tyre got a puncture, and so he decided to just stop in the middle of the track. I don't know why, but that's Ericsson's race ruined because he has no front wing, and he's going to slowly take that to the pit. And he only just passed the pit as well, so it's going to be a while. And now we have a safety car as I almost lose the rear on the grass because I was pretty much distracted by a safety car. I don't know where it came from. I think it may have been from Ericsson or Bottas colliding with someone else, but that's P13 for us. A few cars, I believe 2 cars only went into the pits during the safety car notification, but we're now passing the safety car as it's waiting for the rest of the pack to catch up to it. On lap 7 now, Palmer, we've caught up to him. We still have Verline behind us, but we are actually going to go into the pits on lap 7, and this is going to be our first and final pit stop for the race. We're going to go onto some super soft tyres, and as you can see, Palmer's already been on the super soft, or he's already started on the super soft, so I'm not sure, but we're going to have to slow down for the pit, put the limiter on, and go for a good pit stop. So what can the McLaren boys do? We have to hold the clutch as well and get ready, and it's a 2.6 second pit stop, and pretty good, still better than the 3 second one. And I just got to get used to this. You're going to see that I don't go on the pit limiter fast enough, and so it's a few meters before I even disengage the pit limiter, but it's fine since it's the safety car window and we have time to catch up to it. Now coming towards the end of lap 8, and no one else seemed to be going into the pits, so everyone seems to be fine with their tyres, or they just didn't decide to use the safety car as a free pit stop. So interesting plans for the rest of the teams and the rest of the drivers, that we were the only ones, and maybe 2 other cars to come in on the same, well, it's during the safety car window. But now we have green flags and we're going back to racing. We have Ericsson right in front of us, Alonso 2 places ahead, Hulkenberg behind him, and no one behind us except Bottas, who's 2 minutes behind apparently. And here we go, we're gonna use rich revs. We have to pretty much watch the revs as well. We have to keep it lean or standard because it will wear out the engine much faster. But Alonso got overtaken by Hulkenberg into the first corner. Ericsson's going to have a go on Alonso, sorry. And there's a lot of cars, and it looks like a Toro Rosso is fighting with someone else up ahead. I think it's a Force India that the Toro Rosso is fighting. They're side by side into all the corners, but I think the Toro Rosso had to give up that position. And as this happens, we're going to catch up, and we're going to have an amazing exit out of this corner as the cars are going. So we're going to go past 2, 3 cars, almost 4, as Verline closes the door on us, and that gives Hulkenberg back the position. Alonso is looking at it, and we're going to go down the inside on Hulkenberg. Wheel-to-wheel action, but we're going to have to give Hulkenberg that position since we don't have the power and the grip to get out of the corner fast enough. Now into P15, we're just following Hulkenberg. Alonso behind us, he's on ultra softs, so he still has to come into the pits for his set of super softs, and it's coming up to lap 10, so he's almost 10 laps old on those ultra softs. And because this is only 25% race, the wear rate is much faster, and so Alonso should be starting to struggle on those ultra softs as well, since he used them in qualifying in Q2 since he made it in. Now Verline coming into the pits. We have yellow flags up ahead. A lot of the cars are starting to come into the pits, and for some weird reason, Vettel, he's ghosting and stopped on the track, and I'm not sure, the replay didn't show anything that caused that issue, so he was just stuck there. But now on lap 10, a lot of more cars, even our teammate, comes into the pits, and that's going to give us P4 on lap 11. So we're up into P4, well within the top 10 and almost in the podium. Now we have Ericsson behind us as we're trying to catch up to Hulkenberg. On lap 13, Hamilton just flies past us, and that's going to be P5 as Hamilton locks up into that corner, goes deep, and we just almost lost our front wing because we turned in, and I didn't expect him to just still not turn. So he almost did a Nico Rosberg on us. And now on lap 14, Massa has caught up, and these tyres are starting to cause issues, and as you can see, we just didn't have the grip, and Massa pushes us out of the way, gives Daniel Ricciardo the edge to overtake us, but we get that position back as Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap, and now Fernando Alonso is out of the race. Apparently it was a retirement due to engine issues, I believe, so that is already devastating for McLaren Honda to have one of its cars already out of the race on the final lap as well. But Ricciardo tried to go down the inside and then around the outside into turn 2, but it didn't happen, and Kvyat is now having an issue with his car, so I'm not sure if Alonso and Kvyat managed to tangle somehow and did something, but both cars, one of them out of the race and the other one having an issue, as Ricciardo is trying to catch up to us on the final lap. He has Verstappen behind him, and this is going to be Ricciardo's only chance. We have blue flags behind us somewhere, so someone's been lapped. Probably Bottas. He was over 2 minutes down on everyone else. No way for a catch up with only 15 laps in this race. Coming halfway through the race now, Massa is just flying off somewhere, and Ricciardo's going to look for an overtake, but he's not going to get it. And we're going to have a replay. There's Alonso. We're going to have a replay. Ricciardo went down the inside expecting pretty much room for that, but that was not going to happen. And now on the final lap, on the final corner, we're going to come across the line to take P6 for the Australian Grand Prix.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
So an excellent result for us and for McLaren to get P6. I did not expect it, but I must say the safety car did help us, and a lot of the teams just didn't use the safety car window effectively. We used it perfectly. We got the pit stop on everyone else, and so we managed to catch up. Unfortunately, we couldn't get P3 or P2 or whatever. We just didn't have the power, but interesting results that, as you can see, no Mercedes on the podium. Lance Stroll is in P2 with Nico Hulkenberg in P3.
On the top step once more.
So there's the results for the race. P6 giving us 8 points to the championship race. Lewis Hamilton finished 4th. Not a great result, but we're going to go straight into the invitation event now.
You know, I'd really rather be down there racing than myself, to be honest. I'm actually quite handy behind the wheel, but it's the downforce, those lateral G's, you know. The old neck can't really handle it. So I need a pro. That's where you come in. We run in a bunch of events throughout the year. Time trials, races, all sorts. And I have it on good authority that you have the ability and temperament to do well in these. Make our business look good and, most importantly, bring the cars back in one piece. So consider this a formal invitation. I'll see you at the track.
So we've been invited to do a classic car race. You get the chance of sprint mode or overtaking. We chose the sprint mode, or pursuit, sorry, or overtake. We chose pursuit. So here we are at Suzuka in the 2006 Renault F1 car. And the idea of this is to pretty much overtake everyone else and just win the race. So everyone else gets a head start because we are in a faster car than them. And I must say, I haven't driven this car before and it was quite scary. I've driven the 2004 Ferrari and that has a lot of power, just not enough traction, and this just doesn't have a mix of both. It has power but not enough, and it has some traction, but as you can see, the rear of the car is just sliding everywhere. It just didn't want to grip compared to even the 2017 car. That thing would just grip, and so that was very nice. And it was very nice to drive the 2017 car, but very strange to go from 2017 to straight to this. And this is my first time on the short circuit as well. But on lap 3, nothing happened on lap 2. But lap 3, we managed to catch up to the Williams in front of us. I believe that's a Williams. I cannot quite see it from here, but yeah, it's a Williams. And we're going to overtake this car, but unfortunately we couldn't overtake anyone else. I don't think 3 laps is enough, especially on a short circuit like this. It's quite hard, and I don't think I'll be doing the pursuit again. I might do the overtaking one because it's at least a longer track. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm sorry that it's been rushed, but I have a lot of things to come out this week, and expect a Formula 1 2017 Classic Car Career Mode video as well this week. But until then, I'll see you guys later.